I was thinking about transhumanistic consciousness, since I know you two are extremely interested in the topic of consciousness. I mean,
Mm,
for religious
I am,
people,
yeah.
just say souls, but yes. I was wondering, do you believe that, not currently, but you believe that with future technology, we could transfer human consciousness outside of the human brain?
I don't know if it's feasible because I think most of how consciousness emerges has to do with the medium. So I'm not sure what that
So
would look
you
like. Like,
reckon? But the thing is, we could construct, and I'm pretty sure we have constructed artificial neurons,
mhm, we have. Yep.
right?
I had a chat with Dr. Mark
I'm
Soms about
thinking,
it actually.
sorry.
We played a game of the Ship of Theseus while he was on my stream because he was talking about potentially replacing artificial neurons. And my question was like at that point in time, like, do we really know how much of you is left? Or are we like, is the medium, like the actual physical medium of the brain plus electricity? So like the material, the chemicals, well, I suppose chemicals are material, aren't they? And the electricity that comprise the brain are we not are we sure that that medium isn't required for consciousness as it exists and manifests itself right now? Because we could
The thing
construct
is,
something
oh,
similar, but would it function in the same fashion? I don't know if the answer
wouldn't
is yes or
function
no.
in
I
the
just don't think.
same. It would be different because we wouldn't. If we just created the same thing, then hooray, we have more neurons. Like
Mhm,
obviously, if I were, for example, to be transferred into a robot body, I wouldn't, and a robot brain. Sorry, I should probably meant yes, a robot brain.
mhm.
It wouldn't particularly matter, or yeah, obviously, I wouldn't want it to be the same as a human brain. Otherwise, what's the point of transferring brain? But I'm thinking, because obviously our neurons have electrical impulses within them.
Mhm.
If the neuron were to be like if our biological neurons were to be extended into an artificial brain, would the fact that those same electrical charges traveled across from one brain to the other, do you think that would keep consciousness because it would be the same neural patterns, but and continuous as well?
I'm thinking because 'cause I'm not sure. I think I am hooked up on the medium being a component of the consciousness, and that changing the medium changes the manifestation of that consciousness. So it might be still some form of consciousness. I just don't know if it would be like the same experience, like
I
if it
mean,
would
would
still
there
be
even be a
whatever
way to
an
test
us
that?
is. Sure, I'm open to hearing it.
Oh no, I'm asking, do you believe there would be any way to test whether that is possible? Because I can't think of a way where we construct an artificial network of neurons, and then we're like, hey, can this manifest the same consciousness as human consciousness? Like, how do you reduce how do you reduce that and determine whether a certain neural network is valid for
Well, I thought
human
that you were
consciousness?
talking about, like, us transferring consciousness, like, our own consciousness
Yeah,
into a machine
yeah,
brain.
yeah.
Well, the
Well,
way to test that would
we
be
need to
to ask
transfer it to
if
a
the
valid target.
experience was similar, I guess, but then you would be operating under the assumption that the new consciousness would be able to articulate that any differences or perceive any differences to be able to articulate them.
Of course. And what I'm saying is, like, obviously, in that case, I guess from what you're saying, it would imply that we need to validate the target brain, not really a brain, but the target neural network
Mhm.
before the consciousness can be transferred over.
We would have to no, at that point until, like, if you were just testing if there was any differences, that, like, it would have to be self-report the same way that like, consciousness experiences are self-report now, and, like,
Right.
there's a
Presumably, you're
measurement.
transferring over memories at the same time. Like if you're transferring over memories at the same time, then at least the second consciousness would be able to remember what it was like to be in the biological brain,
At
and
least
then
partially, yeah.
could self-report the differences based on its memory, as far as memories are reliable. But
Right.
you're right. I mean,
Which
there's obviously a but the
So
the
much our
the, the
brain
was
is
the
bio
idea.
brain would
individual.
never know what it's like.
So much of our brain is integrated directly to physiological perceptual abilities too, though, right? Like, all of our systems are basically integrated fully on multiple levels into, like, what we would call senses, like, not just the 5, like,
Right.
proprioception as well. So, you would lose that aspect of it entirely. So, I'm not even sure what that would look
Wait,
like because you
listen,
wouldn't be able to do some sort of identical map because there is
you
no
mean,
perceptual
yeah.
input unless you're
What
just
do you mean
rebuilding a
we
body.
would lose? I'm sorry?
Like, because if you're transferring your mind into, like, a machine, then there's no
Mm,
integrated perception at that point in time, right? Like, you're not like, there's no vision in the way that we experience vision. There's no
Well,
touch and the way we
can't you
experience
connect the
touch.
camera to the brain or to the neural
No,
network?
because that's not the way that we experience vision, right? That's not the way we
No,
experience vision. Like we don't our eyes don't operate like cameras. Our eyes are garbage. Everything we see is
our
upside down, backwards, and full of holes. And then our brain has to
wait,
reconstruct it. And part of who we are as conscious beings has to do like is an inherently influenced by our perceptual experiences and how our brain is wired to create our reality around how it interprets those perceptual experiences, right? So the
uh,
frameworks that exist within the brain right now in order to transmit vision into an experience wouldn't even be that are so integral. Same with like auditory systems that are so integral to how the brain
Shannon,
functions and how it integrates into conscious thought, like wouldn't be available unless we were completely whole cloth recreating bodies entirely, right down to like C fibers and nociceptors,
yeah,
that in which
I know
case
what you
we're
mean,
just
but
creating a
I'm
human.
concerned. Yeah, but I'm concerned that you're overlooking something here. Like maybe
Okay.
you're not, maybe you're not. Maybe you think it is completely different. But like there are experiments about. I don't know to what extent it is exactly. I think I know, but I could be remembering wrong. Experiments where blind people are given sight, not through their eyes, but through different neural either neural bypasses or
Yeah,
through
same with
completely
auditory
artificial eyes.
experiences. Yeah, same with auditory
Wouldn't
experiences.
that mean we could recreate it?
You could potentially recreate it. Like, their vision wouldn't be what we perceive as vision in the same manner, same with sound. But, like, if we're doing that on a
Cool.
mass scale, like, how that like, that's a decent point. So I just don't know how the way like our brains are so integrated towards perception, like towards external perception. If we're creating something where external perception becomes an effortless component, it wouldn't be like it would probably still be consciousness, I guess. And we're gonna have to go off of this call in a second because we have like a bunch more
Yeah,
calls with you. And I could
I
do
get
this
that
for
it's
hours.
taking a
But
while.
yeah, I don't
I
know,
had
I
another
guess is
call
the
didn't go
answer.
well.
Like, I have
Mhm.
more questions. I'm not just gonna affirm it. I'm not just gonna say, "Yeah, sure, absolutely," because I would have questions. Like, I really do think and then we're
Of
also
course.
still ignoring that I think the medium might be an important component.
And I
What
think
would
the
be
point of
the
that was
field of
largely,
do you know of
I was just gonna say, the large, even if you could recreate with cameras, I think the point is that it's creating more new points of failure or new points of differences. Even if the camera may be better or in a way can give roughly the same information, you are still adding points of discrepancy. I guess that
And
was
it doesn't
right,
always work, and it doesn't work in the
and then
same way, right? It's repurposing the systems
uh
to, like,
yeah,
give
before
to, like, trick them almost into thinking that
mhm,
those sensory organs do exist when they don't.
I guess yeah, I was gonna ask another thing. What study would that be about, I guess, yeah, about whether human consciousness could be transferred to a technological medium?
I don't even know if there's a science like that that currently exists because we don't have the technology to even come close.
Too early? You're
Oh,
too
yeah.
too early to even start?
I'm miles. We haven't even mapped the brain entirely yet to know
True,
exactly what every
true.
component of the brain does to transfer it. Like, we would need to know what we were transferring first, and we're not even there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
we have no idea what consciousness is. Good point.
Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.